What is going on, guys? Yash here, back again with another video for you guys. Today I have someone very, very special, Mark Wagner. He's from North Carolina. He's another drop shipper. Mark, if you wanted to introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do?
Yes, my name is Mark. I'm 18 years old. I'm from North Carolina, like he said. I've been into e-commerce for about 2.5 years now, and I've done about $500,000 in revenue during that time. And the vast majority of that has been in the past like 6 to 12 months when I've really started like focusing like hardcore on e-commerce, and it really became like my full-time job.
Awesome, cool. So, guys, for those of you guys that are new on my channel, what Mark and we both do is we basically do something called drop shipping. It's a business model within e-commerce where we have an online store, we sell products, we advertise those products through social media marketing, we drive customers, and then once someone places an order on our site, basically we fulfill that order and the supplier sends it straight to the customer. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about drop shipping, for those of you that are new, definitely feel free to join my group in the description below. It's called Ecom Masterminds. But for those of you guys who already have a store up, whether it be for a few months or you guys are just starting out, or if you guys have been in the game for a few years now, definitely stay tuned because we're going to be talking about Q4, some of the challenges we may face, kind of what our strategy is, and kind of what we're looking forward to as well. So, Mark, I know you said that you've been, in the game for about like 2 years. Um, did you become profitable right away? Like, what did those initial 6 to 12 months really look like for you? Because I know a lot of people have that false perception as to how much is really possible, or like they'll get, rich right away in their first, even 2 or 3 weeks. So kind of what were those roadblocks for you in those 6 to 12 months, and just what did that kind of look like in general?
Yeah, so I think I definitely had that mindset that you were talking about, like it was kind of a get rich quick thing,
Hmm.
which is definitely not true. So when I first started out, like I was 14 years old, and that I didn't even count in the 2.5 years that I've been doing it. Because when I was 14, I started my first store. I did that for about 3 months. I sold a total of one product, and I lost like $300 or $400, which was like all the money I had then.
Yeah.
So that sucked, but I really just went into it completely wrong. Like I said, like I thought it was a get rich quick scheme, and I focused way too much on like my store, and I didn't really realize that advertising is like 99% of the work. Cause like I launched my store, and then I was like, where are my sales? um, so yeah, learning advertising was definitely hard, and it's something that takes a lot of money and a lot of time, and I had neither of those really. So that's kind of why I failed. And then I started back up when I was 16, and I originally just like I was watching all the wrong people on YouTube, kind of thing. I was watching people that were doing like I don't really know why I thought this would work, but for some reason people were telling me like do Facebook ads like straight off the bat, and you can literally just take like an AliExpress image and then like put some text on it, and then like throw it on Facebook ads and like make a whole bunch of money. And that's totally not true.
Yeah.
But I launched one product. It was like a necklace, and I lost like $75 testing. And I was like, all right, this is not working. So I like recreated my entire store. I picked a new niche. I went to like Instagram influencers, and the first product that I did, which was free plus shipping, it was actually profitable, like the first advertisement that I ran. So that was awesome. And that was like the fourth or fifth product that I tested like total, like ever,
Yeah.
which was really cool. And it was just kind of like a slow, like, process from there. Like even within the first 6 to 12 months, like I was profitable, at least after like a couple months after I like recouped all the money that I lost.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't to a like stable point. Like I was happy hitting, like $500 or $1,000 in a month revenue. So yeah, it really kind of bumped up from there once I found my first like winner. and that was, I mean, the first winner I found, like, I didn't even think it was a winner until I like kept testing it and kept testing it, and I found an ad that just like hit.
Yeah.
So that brought me to my first like 5-figure month. Um, with Instagram influencers alone, I believe.
Hmm.
And then from there, like I started learning about Facebook ads, and I had, like over 1,000 purchases just from Instagram. So I was able to be profitable on Facebook like right away, because once you have that amount of data, it's
I
easy.
think that. Yeah, I agree.
Um, so yeah, it's just kind of been all uphill from there. So I got into Facebook like a year, basically like a year after I started my store, and that was where it kind of took off.
Makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that. I actually started out with using influencers as well. Not so much personal influencers, which I know that's kind of route people are going to now. Back then it was more like meme pages and fan pages and stuff like that. But that's how I started because I didn't have a lot of cash flow coming in, which is something that I realize is very important. Cash flow is very important, especially when you transition onto paid ads because you need that money to reinvest into your ads in order to keep scaling. So, I started with influencers. I worked with them like first 3 or 4 months after starting my first store. And, that's kind of when I transitioned completely onto paid advertising. Um, in the start myself, I lost a ton of money. I was in, I was, I was honestly in debt. I was paying for school, and it just wasn't the kind of the right path for me in terms of where I was going. I was kind of investing my money blindly, but then I really kind of took a step back to take 10 forward. Um, so do you recommend for someone that's just starting out, just to kind of hear your perspective, to start out with the influencers, to start out with Facebook, or to use both? Because I know having multiple streams of sales coming to your store is what you want, but what do you kind of suggest starting out with, or does it really matter in your opinion?
I mean, I would say it depends on your budget. Like, personally, I wouldn't really recommend starting out with two platforms like right away, just because you want to make it as simple as possible on you. But if you
Yep.
have like $800 plus to spend on testing products,
And
then I would recommend you use Facebook, especially if you kind of know what you're doing, because Facebook is a lot more complicated than Instagram influencers are.
100%.
And if you have under 800, then I would just recommend going with influencers. And then
Yeah.
like if you are going to be running with Facebook, like it's so easy to lose money. Like it's just so easy. So you really got to learn more if you are going to be going with that route.
Yeah, to have the proper strategy, so that way you're investing, not only your ad spend, your money, but also your time and energy as efficiently as possible to, see that return. Cool. Um, how about like in terms of Q4? Like I usually don't use influencers throughout the year. I might use them on like Mother's Day or St. Patrick's Day sometimes, or like Valentine's Day. But I know during Q4, like I already have a few scheduled promotions myself for Black Friday, for Cyber Monday, for Thanksgiving. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I run influencers, or at least I try to, like, weekly. But generally I'm running like 8 to 10 a week. And on Black Friday I have currently 25 scheduled.
That's awesome.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, Cyber
Are those
Monday I have
like
like,
stack target, or are those just individual shout outs, or like they're
yeah,
staggered at the same time?
so I've tested nearly all of these pages before. So I'm not really worried about figuring out which ones work. So I'll literally just stack like, 25 separate influencer accounts on the same day.
Same day.
Um, yeah, but that's definitely not something you can really do if you haven't tested before, because you
Hmm.
don't want to like run with accounts that are, you don't really know where your sales are coming from in that case.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you definitely want to do your due diligence first. And then are these influencers like personal influencers, or are they a combination of both, kind of like just general pages with personal influencers, or what?
So they're all actually theme pages. Like those 25 are in a niche store. And then I really want to add some personal influencers too, because that's not really something I've done too much with, but I know how effective they can be.
Yeah,
So that's on my to-do list by the end of the week to
yeah,
contact someone.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, actually, guys, like shipping the product out to these people and them actually showcasing it and them actually wearing the actual product does make a big difference. Um, because people are looking for credibility, people are looking for trust. So it does make a huge, huge difference when you use personal influencers. But there are certain like theme pages, like you said, and certain general pages that if they have the proper audience for your store, you will get your return of investments. It's always good to kind of test out which ones work for you, which ones don't. Maybe doing like only a story post first, or maybe only a feed post first, and then seeing how they kind of you know result in terms of sales, and maybe you can work with them long term. uh, did you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, I would. And
Cool.
just to add to that, I think that like when you're starting out, it's definitely more cost effective to use like meme pages or like, theme pages and stuff like that. And I
Yeah,
kind of see personal influencers as something that you can just, add on to that. I
I
see
agree.
like meme pages and stuff like that as like a stepping stone to like personal influencers.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you're starting out on a lower budget, like 30 to 50 to 70 bucks a shout out. Personal influencers, they do cost a little bit more, because there's like larger companies willing to actually pay them, whether it be a few hundred or a few $1,000s. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. Um, do you just have like, because I know in Q4 myself, right now I have two stores that are just exclusive to Q4. I'm not sure if I'm going to be scaling them and continuing to scale them after Q4, or if I'm going to be kind of branding them long term. I still don't know. It really depends on just Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, how those days really perform. So do you have like a main brand that you focus on, and do you have certain side stores or certain side projects that you work with, or how is that structured?
Yeah, so I do have a main brand that I've been running since my first store. The one I talked about where I was profitable, my first ad.
Yeah,
That's still the same store basically. So that's the one that I focus on, branding and everything like that. And then I currently run 5 stores. So in addition to that, I have a general store which I just use to test products.
cool.
Um, and then I have one niche store that's basically it has like 3 or 4 products on it, so it's kind of a one product store. And then I also have 2 other one product stores.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I think I'm in a pretty similar boat. I actually had um, one other main brand that I sold earlier this year just to focus more of my time on other things. Um, I do have a general store which I usually test products on. I know I I usually personally stay away from general stores, but in just to kind of test products, and if you already have a pixel that has some data, then I would definitely go for it. But usually, like, would you agree that the end of this year, 2019 and 2020, to focus a little bit more on the branding side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone kind of says that, branding is the way to go, which, you can't disagree with. But at the same time, you also can't discredit the fact that these crappy drop shipping stores are still making a killing, like it's still very possible to make
Hmm.
6 figures with a general store. And I think it's all about like, getting the most that you can out of your money. Like I just tested a product and got like 3.5% conversion rates on a general store,
Wow.
which is pretty crazy. But at the same time, like you were saying, you sold a brand. You can't sell a general store for that much money. So,
Exactly.
being able to like separate that from your general store and maybe create like a niche store around a certain product, that's going to be more long term. But at the same time, like you can still make money short term, a lot of money at that, with a like non-branded store.
Agree. Yeah, yeah. So if you guys want to be, in this for the short term and not the long, then like capitalizing really quickly. So you may have like a general store, but if you want something long term, actually own a brand, move on to like white labeling or, having a private sourcing agent or a fulfillment center or warehouse. That's the kind of route to go, like more terms of branding, right? Meaning, having a well optimized store, using your own creatives, just overall, right, having everything as authentic, has everything as optimized as possible, right? That's kind of what really separates saying like, I have a drop shipping store versus you saying like I actually run and operate an actual brand, right? So those are kind of, I guess, the stepping stools in terms of e-commerce. What's possible, right? Not many people go that route. Some people just prefer to kind of cycle through stores, um, open new stores, or you can have a bunch of things, right? Like I have a main brand that I'm kind of going to be moving on to white labeling in the coming few months. Like I've spent over like $600,000 to $700,000 in terms of ad spend on that brand. So that's something I want more long term. That's something I really want to call my own. And then usually, I'm just focusing on my niche stores and my one product stores to kind of capitalize on faster. Like maybe if something's like seasonal or if just something is like trending for a certain holiday or something, right? I'll make like a quick one product store, or I'll test it on my general store and then make a one product store from that after. So
Yeah.
yeah. How about do you think that a lot of people say that, especially during Q4, um, you know, Facebook is almost turned into like a bidding war, right? Because there's so many people spending. It's like spending $10 on an ad set is spending like $4. That's probably like a bad analogy, but how can you, or do you just have some tips to kind of avoid getting into that, and maybe some tips that you can use to kind of um, kind of avoid those hindrances in terms of just scaling? Because I know a lot of people, they start testing a product, they get a few sales and then they're kind of unable to scale that, right? So what do you think you can kind of suggest just to kind of overcome those, or just to avoid those issues, just in terms of like Facebook ads?
Um, I think there's like a couple different questions there. Like, as far as like the bidding war goes, it's definitely more competitive during Q4, which means your CPMs are going to be higher. CPMs are basically just your cost per 1,000 people who see your ad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's a couple ways that I use to decrease those. One of those is worldwide targeting, because not everyone's going to target the entire world. And once you do have a lot of data, like couple hundred purchases, and worldwide targeting is going to get you a better bang for your buck. Just because then Facebook knows what your buyer looks like. And then in addition, I've started using story placements like a lot more, and those have like a much higher CPM than like any other placement.
Really?
So I was getting like, I checked earlier, and I have CPMs of like 25 cents for a straight
Wow,
campaign
that's
targeted to the
insane.
entire world. Yeah, it's definitely crazy. And
Do
this is
you
in
need,
November too.
just really quick, Mark, do you need a different, because I personally don't use stories in terms of targeting. I usually only do Facebook and Instagram feeds. Do you need like another sort of creative, like another dimension, like another dimension for story posts, or is that the same in terms of Facebook ads?
Yeah, so I never used to use story placements too, until
Mhm.
I kind of figured that I would try. So, I did create like specific ads for stories, and I treat them just like my feeds. Like my feed posts or ads, I'm gonna test like in a creative testing campaign before I launch them, which means I'm gonna make a bunch of feed ads and then test them to see which works best. And the same thing with stories. Like I'm gonna test, having text that pops up or not having text that pops up, and just stuff like that. yeah, as far as like the dimensions go, you definitely do want to have like vertical ads instead of like a square ad that you would use
One by
for
one
store.
ratio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then just to kind of like touch on what you said earlier, like if you do start making some sales during the testing phase and then it kind of like goes off from there. I think that there's like one of two things that you need to do. A is test more, because it's really possible that you're just not finding the right interest, or your ad isn't good enough, or I mean, there's really a whole bunch of things that it could be. And then another one of those is like your product page. Like if your conversion rate sucks, you're never going to be able to scale a product. So if like you should be able to like, tell, if you're getting like a ton of visitors to your website and no one's buying it, then it's probably not a problem with your ads. It's a
Your
problem
product page.
with your
Probably the
website.
back
Yeah,
end. Yeah.
definitely. So,
Yeah.
honestly, just optimizing like every part of your funnel. I
Very
know that
true. Yeah.
sounds kind of like, advanced, but it's really not. It just means like
That's very true.
troubleshooting and
Yeah, like
just-
put yourselves in your customer's shoes. You want your ideal customer to feel trustworthy. You want your ideal customer to feel confident, when they're actually on your site, right? You don't want a site that's scammy, that has like a bunch of pop-ups, a bunch of distractions. Ideally you want the customer to go from your product page to your checkout page in, as many few steps, as many few distractions as possible, right? Um, so yeah, like Mark was saying, oftentimes it's always not your ads, so it's always not your actual marketing. It's oftentimes the back end, right? It may be your funnel, it may be your checkout page, it may be your product page, it may be that you're lacking reviews on your product page, or your images on your product page are blurry. So it's really, again, like Mark said, important to optimize every single aspect. Do you think, like, I know right now it's like the first few days into November, there's what about like 3.5 weeks left into Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Um, what's your best advice to kind of really maximize your sales and maximize your opportunity those few days, and really, reach your warm and hot audiences? Like, do you just heavily focus more on lookalikes those few days, or on custom audiences? Or, do you have like other retargeting ads running? Do you have single interest ads running that you've been scaling vertically? How does kind of that really look like for you? For me personally, I'm going to be using 2 ad accounts to drive traffic to 3 different stores, right? So, sorry, 3 different ad accounts to drive traffic to 3 different stores. And for all of them, I'm going to be looking into custom audiences and look-like audiences. And I also have some manual bidding campaigns that have been running from now too. So that's just kind of how my days are looking. I'm looking
yes.
to about spend like probably 2 to 3K, or about 3 to 4K per day.
Like just on Black Friday, or like every day up until then?
Probably Black Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm doing like all those things that you said.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have certain campaigns to scale interests. I have certain campaigns to scale lookalike audiences. I have certain campaigns that are focused on retargeting on custom audiences. Like for example, if someone went on my website in like March and didn't end up buying, then they would have gotten retargeted in March, but they haven't seen my products since then, most likely. So I'm going to hit them on Black Friday, and I already tested this on Halloween. But I'm going to hit them on Black Friday and be like, our Black Friday sale is here, so you can still get that product you're looking at in March. So that's definitely something I'm going to be doing, and then really just like everything that I've been doing now, except on a bigger scale. Like my scaling campaigns right now, they range from like $50 to like $150.
Okay.
But towards Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I'm looking to spend like, $500 to $1,500 on those scaling campaigns,
Yeah. Do you use value-based lookalikes or like customer emails to make lookalikes?
Um, I really haven't seen like a major difference with value look-like audiences, so it's
Likewise.
not really
Yeah.
something that I'm gonna like focus on, I guess.
Yeah, likewise. I've used email lists before of a few thousand people. Those usually bring back some past customers in terms of value-based lookalikes. Um, and again, like correct me if I'm not explaining value-based lookalikes right. It's just basically people who have purchased before from your site, and you can actually segment them in terms of who has spent the most, right?
I think value-based look yes and no. Like,
Okay.
I mean, since it's a lookalike audience, it's just finding people that are like those who
Like
spent the
those
most on the
customers.
website. So yeah, basically.
In terms of like finding newer people in terms of that customer persona in terms of all those value-based lookalikes, right? Basically.
Yeah, essentially. And then Facebook has like a value optimization
Oh,
instead
yeah.
of conversions.
Yeah.
So those two combined, like a value lookalike audience with value optimization, is supposed to get you like a much higher ROAS compared to like a normal like conversion, normal lookalike audience. But for me, I really haven't seen a huge difference.
Likewise. Cool. Awesome. Um, is there anything else you want to just add on in terms of just going into e-com in 2020, let alone just kind of Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, the rest of Q4 after that? Because I know Christmas is still left, but keep in mind that a lot of people do their shopping for Christmas during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Thanksgiving. So what's your kind of like final key takeaways for kind of again the end of this year, Q4, and also kind of starting 2020 into drop shipping?
Yeah, I really think that the whole big key is just taking action because if you try to launch a store on like Black Friday and you think that that's going to make a difference,
Yeah,
it's
start
not.
now.
If
Yeah.
anything, it's probably going to make it harder for you.
Yeah.
Um, so I would just recommend that you get something started like as soon as possible. Like you're not going to be able to take advantage of Q4 unless you already have something built. And so to do that, just build as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And I really think that like the same thing kind of goes with starting in 2020. Like you should obviously do your due diligence, do your research, learn what drop shipping is all about and how to kind of be successful. But you're never really gonna know until you try. So I think I'm gonna use an analogy I heard the other day. I think that
Go for it.
to be successful, you kind of just got to jump off a cliff and then build your wings on the way down.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah, no, I think that was very insightful. And I think some other things I can kind of add on to that is like sometimes you really have to take a step back to take 10 steps forward to really see what's not working and why it's not working, right? Really understand like the fundamentals and the base of your business, because I think that's what a lot of people overlook. Like I know a lot of people that jump on calls with me, they jump right into marketing and ads. They start showing me all their campaigns, and then I'm like, wait, let's look at your store, let's look at your product, let's look at your creative, right? And oftentimes, like 8 out of 10 times, it's an issue with one of those things. So I think kind of just adding on, it's really kind of getting that down and then kind of just moving step by step. And, obviously it's a lot of trial and error. You're going to fail. I'm sure that, we have roadblocks and we have hindrances too. So that's going to, be something that's going to be something that's always going to be there. But I think it's just kind of taking the right approach from the get-go, learning from your mistakes, being coachable, being open and being flexible as well to kind of see, again, what's working and what's not working, and why the reason is, right? um, and I think there's no kind of like right or wrong store. There's no right or wrong influencer or right or wrong niche. It's just kind of what's unique to your store. Like build a community, like especially if you guys want something long term, focus on building value, giving content through social media, and really building a community, right? That's what revisiting customers and quality customers and lifetime customers really look for, right? They look forward to buying again from your store because they're part of the community, right? They feel kind of welcomed. So kind of that also ties in hand with that whole kind of like branding side I was talking to you about, especially going into 2020, right? And one other thing I wanted to talk about, I know that was kind of the end in terms of what we had to say, but how do you deal with because a lot of people watching this video, they may be scaling. How do you deal with one, payment processor issues, and two, do you use AliExpress or do you use another fulfillment center or another supplier?
Yeah, so payment processor issues, fingers crossed, I really haven't had major issues with.
Do you Stripe
I
and
do,
PayPal?
what was that?
Do you use Stripe and PayPal or just Shopify payments?
Yeah, I use Shopify payments and PayPal. I got a 15% hold on Shopify payments, so I'm getting a fat check in like a week.
Oh,
Um, yeah, but other than that, I really haven't had many issues. And then
okay.
in the case that I do, I already have like a payment processor lined up. They're a little bit more expensive than Shopify payments,
Yeah.
but it's called electronic commerce processing, and they
How much of a
focus.
fee do they take away?
What's that?
How much of a fee do they take away?
It's like 2.5. I mean, it depends on your revenue. I think they
Yeah.
quoted me like 2.5%, which is actually kind of a lot
Mhm.
because you have to add Shopify's 1% fee on top of that, which means it would be 3.5 compared to the 2.9 that I'm
Right.
paying right now.
Okay.
Which kind of sucks. They do have a slightly cheaper, like Shopify charges 30 cents per transaction. So
Yeah.
there's a slightly cheaper than that. All right, and so for fulfillment, generally what I'm doing for all of my like winning products is I have an agent who fulfills them, and then that basically means that I get like 8 to 12 day shipping times to the United States and other major countries,
Yeah.
and it's also cheaper than AliExpress, and it's way less of a headache. So
More efficient. Yeah. In
Asian
terms
is
of
definitely the way to
communication.
go if you're doing like over like 15 orders a day. And
Yeah.
then I do have US fulfillment for like 2 products right now. But those are for like my main store, and that's definitely not something I'll recommend unless it's like a proven product that you're trying to like brand out as a store.
Yeah.
And then AliExpress, honestly, like it still works. It's obviously not ideal, but it's still not like a reason to not start your store. Like
Yeah.
people always hit me up and they're like, what do I do if my customers complain because it's gonna take 3 weeks to get to them? And I'm like, you don't even have customers yet, just like
Exactly.
focus on the
And
problem at hand.
exactly. And there's actually a filter on AliExpress where you can choose some suppliers from the US, and you usually have like 8 to 12 day like ground delivery through USPS. So
Yeah.
again, like take action, no excuses. Um, so you basically have a a an agent or a fulfillment center in the States once you see that a product is bringing in a consistent volume, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, so those are just some of the things that I wanted to get out the way because I know customer satisfaction at the end of the day is really, really important, especially in Q4 because a lot of people want their products or what they're ordering, by Christmas the latest because that's what people are shopping for. So that's very, very important to have. But yeah, Mark, honestly, it was great having you. It's great that you were able to shed some light and we were able to go back and forth in in terms of where we both are in our businesses, what we're looking forward to Q4 and onward. So guys, I'll definitely leave a link to Mark's YouTube channel in the description and also Mark's Instagram. definitely feel free to check him out. Like I said, guys, if you want to be part of a free community, a free group, join my Facebook group below, Ecom Masterminds. I think we're just growing over 1,200 members now. So, especially if you guys are just starting out, if you guys want some guidance in terms of what e-commerce or drop shipping is, what to expect, definitely feel free to join that group. And anything else you got to say, Mark?
Just thanks for having me, and I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And just crush it.
Yeah, guys, let's crush it.
All
Awesome.
right.
Leave a like on this video, guys. Do subscribe if you're new. Looking forward to providing you a lot of great content for the rest of Q4. That's where I'm going to be kind of focusing on. Since this is a really good time to really maximize your opportunity in terms of drop shipping. So leave a like, subscribe, and we'll check you guys out soon. Peace.